like to welcome everybody to January 13th workshop meeting, the Marlborough Township Board of Education.
Cindy, anything change?
Cindy, would you please call the roll?
No, you said it. Good evening, everyone. Mrs. Dean. Here. Mr. Dwyer.
Here.
Mrs. Ennie.
Here.
Mrs. Cow.
Here.
Mrs. Lou Rudell.
Here.
Mr. Marshall.
Here.
Mrs. Matos. Not here. Mrs. Rosenwald.
Here.
Mr. Lalansky.
Here. Please be advised this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the Sunshine Law. The adequate notice of the date, time, and agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and News Transcript. It has also been posted and filed with the Marlborough Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I'm also going to bring your attention to, but I'm not going to read in its entirety, the statement of videotaping a public portion of Board of Education meetings, the public session statement, as well as no smoking on school grounds statement. Will everybody please rise and join me for the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to announce as well that Tara Kostovich, DMD, is the district's Emerald Level sponsor for the 2014-2015 school year, and we thank her very much. A review of the agenda shows we'll be having a public session tonight open to any item, followed by a general discussion of the 2015-2016 school year calendar. We'll have a presentation by Mobile Lease Modular Space, followed by a second public session open to any item as well, followed by our executive session tonight. So to begin, I'll open up our first public session, open to any item. We have a clipboard tonight, so I guess I know we have some names on the clipboard, so we'll go by that order. If anybody hasn't signed the clipboard, they can still speak as well at the end.
Oh boy, if I could be terrible with names. Okay. Wei Wen. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I just need your name and address at the microphone, please.
Wei Yuen, and I'm at 10 Girard Street in Marlborough.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Lalansky, Ms. Dean, Dr. Hibbs, and board members. Thank you for allowing us to present our petition tonight. I'm not sure if you're aware of what the petition, but we are gathered here.
Try to make your life easy.
Right. Wonderful. We're gathered here as Marlborough families and students in the school district, and we wish to petition the board to approve Chinese New Year Day, also known as Lunar New Year Day, to be an official school holiday in our school district. We celebrate Chinese New Year as the biggest holiday of the year in Chinese tradition, as well as in several East Asian communities, including Korean, Japanese, Singapore, Philippines, and Vietnamese Americans. In China and Hong Kong, people actually celebrate this holiday for a 15-day period. The significance of Chinese New Year to me, as I was raised, is that we believe the actions and events on that day sets a precedent for the rest of the year. It's also a time to sweep away ill fortune and prepare for incoming good fortune by paying off old debts and cleaning up the house. We begin our celebration on New Year's Eve by spending it with family, having dinner with traditional foods that symbolize health, fortune, and prosperity, which is what we want to start the year out with. On New Year's Day, we also pray to our deities for good fortune and honor our elders by visiting parents, grandparents, and extended families, which are very important Chinese values. As parents, we struggle with the issue of whether we should send our children to school on Chinese New Year Day every year. Since we also highly value the importance of education, most parents have been giving up our cultural traditions so that our children do not miss a single day of school. However, the trade-off is our children are missing out on critical Chinese cultural values and traditions. We prefer that our students do not miss any official school days and still be able to celebrate Chinese New Year Day as we would traditionally. We ask you to designate Chinese New Year Day as a school holiday and use it as an opportunity to hold educational programs about cultural diversity. We know that Marlborough has a proud tradition of supporting and honoring the town's cultural diversity. Adding Chinese New Year Day, Lunar New Year Day, enriches that tradition. Marlborough is a rich, diverse community in which we are lucky to be able to meet neighbors with various cultural backgrounds. However, in order to recognize the diversity we possess and to avoid future disruptions in instruction and learning, we request that you approve Chinese New Year Day as a district school holiday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack Lee, Alex. Okay. Sherry. Yun, sorry.
Good evening, board members and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sherry Yun, and I'm a representative for Fidelity Chinese School, which has been established in
Just your address, please. I need a name and address.
6 Hopkinson Court at Marlborough,
Thank you.
New Jersey. Yeah. All right. So Fidelity Chinese School has been established in Marlborough Township since 1994. My family has resided in Marlborough for 10 years. Both of my children are currently attending Marlborough Middle School. We have been blessed with Marlborough's Blue Ribbon School System, Marlborough Township Administration, and 3 wonderful Chinese schools that my children have been attending to learn the Chinese language and culture. The Fidelity Chinese School proposed to have the Lunar New Year to be an official holiday for the following reason. According to the U.S. Census 2010 to 2013, approximately 18% plus of the Marlborough Township population is Asian, which include Chinese American, Filipinos, Vietnamese, Korean, and Japanese, who all celebrate the Spring Festival, also known as Chunjie, on February 19 of this year. The convivial occasion brings families, neighbors, and friends together. During this time, families come together to prepare a large feast on the eve of Lunar New Year. Chinese Americans clean their houses to represent a fresh new start and good luck for the new year. 守岁, as part of the tradition of the New Year Eve, is to hold the year, which I usually don't sleep until 5 o'clock in the New Year Day morning, in hope to gain longevity of my parents and in-laws. So when my children asked me if they can do the same and follow the tradition, I couldn't allow them to do so because they have the school next day. If they miss the school, they will have the consequence of missing a few tasks and also need to catch up a lot of homework. Designating the Lunar Chinese New Year as an official school holiday would enable students to spend time with their family and follow the culture. Apart from China, the day is also celebrated in countries like Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. The Chinese New Year is a tradition that goes back to several thousand years. I'm glad that we are teaching our children to appreciate the cultural tradition in which we honor our culture and to recognize the contribution of Asian Americans to this country and to Marlborough Township. It is crucial for us to maintain our cultural identity. The establishment of making Lunar New Year a school holiday really identifies us as an accepted part of society. The holiday is a time to spend quality time with family. Love, care, contentment are shared in this very unique holiday for Chinese Americans. Children from other culture and religion are able to celebrate holiday with their families as their holidays are recognized as official holiday by Marlborough Township. And this is the time when the children of Chinese family can celebrate theirs. I believe that in the Marlborough Township, Lunar New Year should be allowed to have a school day off because it is one of my culture's paramount celebration. Lunar New Year will finally have the ability to be celebrated as a time of reunion if established as a school holiday. Some students in public school voluntarily take off from school to spend the Lunar New Year holiday at home with families, yet they are marked absent for their attendance. Please make this important holiday widely recognized and make it official day for our students too. The holidays in our calendar year already consist of holidays from different cultures and definitely have room for Lunar New Year too. Our great nation understands the importance of recognizing and paying tribute to citizens of different origin. In America, we celebrate the uniqueness, accomplishment, and contribution of many ethnic groups. I take extraordinary pride as an Asian American and believe it is important to recognize and celebrate the Asian culture by making the Lunar New Year an official school holiday. We believe strongly that this petition is not unreasonable and should be honored. It is important to ensure the students who choose to spend this important holiday with their family are not penalized for doing so. Making the holiday a school holiday, supporters claim, will save students from suffering academic consequences for choosing to spend the holiday with their families. Lunar New Year remains the most important social and economic holiday in China and Taiwan, and it also should be in our Marlborough district. If it becomes a school holiday, children can celebrate the festivity the whole day with their family and learn about the Chinese culture. It is a common wish among many Asian ethnic groups in Marlborough to make Lunar New Year a school holiday. We want to thanks to the CNY committee, Camel USA, Fidelity, Huaxia, and Mama Chinese School for leading the charge in this issue. And thank you, Marlborough Board of Education, for your consideration and support. Have a good night.
Thank you. I know.
Aaron Lee and Miranda Chang.
I told. I did, but she said to me.
My name is Miranda Chang from Fidelity Chinese School.
And I am Aaron Lee from Fidelity Chinese School.
Aaron, does your family celebrate Chinese New Year?
Yes, we celebrate Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is a traditional and very important Chinese holiday. It was originally a festival to honor ancestors. It is also known as a Spring Festival. Miranda, how about your family?
My family celebrates Chinese New Year too. Actually, Chinese New Year is the longest festival in the Chinese calendar. We receive red envelopes full of money instead of wrapped gifts that others give at Christmas. What do you like about Chinese New Year?
I like dragon dances and street fairs. Dancers dress up as lions and dragons and perform on the streets.
Chinese New Year is considered the most important holiday for the Chinese and has impacted the Lunar Year celebrations of its neighboring countries as well.
What do you normally say during Chinese New Year?
新年快乐，恭喜发财.
What does that mean?
Happy New Year, congratulations, and be successful. How about we say it together? 新年快乐，恭喜发财. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, give me the next name. Give me the next name for me.
Read the next name. Okay. Victoria Liu. Next one.
Should I say my address?
You don't need to.
Oh, okay. Good evening, board members. My name is Victoria Liu, and I've lived in Marlborough for 13 years. I'm currently a junior at Freehold High School, but I am a true Marlborough citizen at heart. In my 13 years at Marlborough, I've realized how ethnically diverse and culturally accepting we are to people of different backgrounds and histories. We have an annual multicultural day to celebrate cultural arts. People of all backgrounds attend the annual Indian Garba Festival. We have days off for different religious holidays. However, despite all these amazing outlets of cultural diversity, I feel that my Chinese culture has been underrepresented, and it is time to raise awareness for Chinese culture. At regular school, The only time people really look at my culture is during Chinese New Year. But unfortunately, even then, they just mention the hongbao and the Chinese zodiac signs and forget about it. No one bothers mentioning the overarching fact that Chinese New Year is not just a celebration of fun. Chinese New Year is a celebration of a history, a culture, and a people. For example, who knows the origin of the Chinese New Year zodiac signs? What special foods do Chinese people eat on Chinese New Year's? And what is the meaning of family during Chinese New Year? These deep cultural questions are often overlooked. In fact, for most people, Chinese New Year is just another date marked on the calendar to be forgotten, and the cultural essence of Chinese New Year is often washed away by the superficial interest in it. And in Marlborough, where cultural diversification is so valued and cherished, it is a little unsettling that people do not fully appreciate the cultural importance of Chinese New Year to Chinese people. Thus, I strongly encourage adopting Chinese New Year as an official Marlborough holiday. Not only would it benefit Chinese residents to rekindle their native customs, it would also benefit the Marlborough community as a whole. Raising awareness of Chinese New Year will allow our citizens to become more aware of Chinese culture and have a more comprehensive understanding. Making Chinese New Year a holiday will give people, Chinese or not, the spark to learn more about Chinese traditions and perhaps answer questions such as, what makes Chinese New Year so important that people in China have 2 weeks off during Chinese New Year? Thank you and have a good evening.
Michelle Bell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Mo, and I am a 10th grader at Marlborough High School. Today, I would like to address this petition for Chinese New Year as an official school holiday. Chinese New Year is the biggest holiday we celebrate in Chinese tradition and also in other East Asian communities. Almost every year on Chinese New Year, we usually have a school day off, and I really want to stay home and celebrate the biggest day in our culture. Every year, I see the whole school get off because of religious holidays such as Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. I always wish to get the day off on Chinese New Year. The Asian American community has been struggling on Chinese New Year Day, debating if the students should go to school or not. Chinese New Year lasts 15 days, but we are only asking for a day off. If we ever get off on Chinese New Year, it will be my first time ever experiencing what the true meaning and tradition of what this holiday is supposed to be. I'm proud of being Chinese. I love this holiday, and I wish the other Asian American students will be able to spend this holiday with their close family and friends. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Brian Yao.
Good evening, Board of Education members and everyone else, ladies and gentlemen. I greatly appreciate that the Board of Education has allocated their time in this meeting to recognize this petition, this ongoing petition. New Jersey is represented by the diverse cultural backgrounds of its inhabitants. Every family has a history, and embedded in their history is its traditions. Thus, the practices and celebrations of our communities should be available to everyone in order to allow those residing in Marlborough District to develop stronger connections with one another. Students of our district should be relieved from their daily classes to celebrate the Chinese New Year, otherwise known as the Lunar New Year. Nearly 20% of the Marlborough School District student body consists of Asian American students, most of whom are forced to choose between spending time with their family and going to school. Those who notify their school of the holiday will still receive an absence in their record, even if it is an excused absence. By celebrating the Chinese New Year, all students, Asian American and others, can experience the grand festivities of the holiday, including dragon dancing, the exotic food, and firecrackers. Furthermore, if holidays of other backgrounds can be implemented into the school calendar, then there is definitely enough room for the Lunar New Year. It is time for us to follow in the footsteps of New York City and San Francisco, cities that have already established Chinese New Year as an official holiday. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Ellen Shu.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ellen Xu. I'm a proud resident of Marlborough for 15 years. I have two daughters in Marlborough School. One is 5th grade and then 7th grade. One thing I would like to say is, one time my daughter asked me, why isn't Chinese New Year celebrated like every other holidays? Why do I have to get absent, while others I don't have to get absent? So I wish I had a good answer. If we can make Chinese New Year a holiday or a public holiday that everyone else can take off and celebrate, then students can not only associate that with a core fact that they have been taught in the social study book, but they can vividly associate that with the real life experience. And also, I believe it can effectively reduce discrimination and promote community and cultural diversity. I want to tell you a little bit about my understanding of Chinese New Year. It's like a combination of 3 holidays we all know. First, Thanksgiving, which means that we all gather together to have a great family and friends meal on the Chinese New Year, New Year's Eve. Second is Christmas. We all exchange gifts. We give red packets. I think some of you have been to Chinese school for Chinese New Year. We give out red packets, which really usually contains money. And also we clean house and decorate house. The last is New Year, that it's a new start for Chinese New Year. It's not only a new start of lunar year, it's also a new start of a zodiac sign. The Chinese New Year is the most important holiday of China and Asian communities, and it's heavily celebrated in quite a few Asian countries, which some of us have mentioned. So while America is proud to be most diversified country, and in San Francisco, New York, they are recognized as public holiday, why not Marlborough Township District, School District, follow this and become one of the pioneers to make this a public holiday, that our neighboring town, Homedale and Plainsboro, already make this a public holiday. And also, this will show its diversity and our recognition, acceptance of the diversity. And Marlborough Township has 2 sister cities. One is Wujiang, China, and the other one is Naito, Japan, both of which celebrate the Lunar New Year. So if we can make this a holiday, then the students of both cities, or 3 cities, can exchange ideas how they celebrate Chinese New Year or how they understand the Lunar New Year. And last, I would like to say, in the near future, I hope I can tell my girls that it's no longer different. We all celebrate. Thank you.
Let's get your address, ma'am. The address.
412 Georgetown Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gloria Liu.
Good evening. I'm Gloria Liu, and I will be speaking to you today about the Lunar New Year, also known as Chinese New Year.
Good evening. My name is Sophie Zhang, and I will be speaking to you also about the Chinese New Year.
Good evening. My name is Anna Kai, and I will also be speaking to you about the Chinese New Year.
In America, and especially in our town Marlborough, cultural diversity is appreciated and acknowledged. We learn about different traditions in social studies class and show recognition for various holidays by receiving special days off. However, although holidays like Yom Kippur and Christmas are recognized in this way, Chinese New and Year are three simple words on the calendar that mean nothing significant to those who do not celebrate it. It is gone the next day, hidden in the back of everyone's minds because people still had to go through the routine school and work day, and nothing culturally interesting was taught in class. However, Chinese New Year is a very important day, as important as the New Year to the Chinese community. Yet the district does not give this special holiday much recognition. Chinese New Year celebrates the start of the lunar year. During this time, Chinese people eat dumplings, or 饺子, and get red envelopes, called 红包, with goodies including money, and watch the Chinese New Year shows, which include traditional songs and comedies. 年糕, a delicious treat made out of sticky rice and red beans, is served in the light of red lanterns decorated with calligraphy. This is a time of family and rejoice. However, it may never be fully enjoyed unless people receive the time to do so. A new zodiac sign takes the place of an old one every year. Do you know yours? If Chinese New Year were an official holiday, learning about the origins of the zodiac sign and the different characteristics of each animal along with the aspects of Chinese and Asian culture would be fun and exciting, especially for elementary school students who typically need more interesting content in their class to focus their attention. This would allow for a more enjoyable and unique education. It would also add to the cultural education and social studies class.
Additionally, it is not only China that celebrates the Lunar New Year. Numerous other countries, such as Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia, also observe the Lunar New Year. By not acknowledging this day, the cultures of the other countries besides China also remain unacknowledged. This makes the many cultures seem less significant than the others with recognition, which allows for discrimination, especially among students. If the cultures are not appreciated and acknowledged, children could be taunted, made fun of, bullied by others who do not understand them well. However, if they are acknowledged like all others, not only will these kids benefit, but those who do not celebrate will also learn about a different culture.
I will now conclude the key reasons of why Chinese New Year should be established as an official holiday. Chinese New Year, also known as the Lunar New Year, is a time of family union as well as a time of rejoice and pride in one's culture. The holiday, though celebrated in so many countries throughout the world, is surprisingly not recognized in Marlborough, a place of cultural diversity. We wish to make Chinese New Year established as an official holiday for citizens of Marlborough. Marlborough's population of Asians are increasing at a rapid rate, with a 17.3% of the total population as of July 2012. So it would be reasonable to recognize their main holiday in this district. This recognition will also bring convenience for families who have difficulty in dividing their time between celebrating their culture and work routines. In addition, this change will allow the spread of Chinese culture throughout communities, educating people of other backgrounds, new cultures. This knowledge will reduce prejudice and lead to tolerance of other cultures and people of varying backgrounds. Not only will Chinese New Year bring new cultural ideas, it will also bring acceptance among people of Marlborough. This is why the Chinese New Year should be observed as an official holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, because we're at capacity, if somebody has already spoken and let somebody else come back in that wants to speak, we can do that as well. So, just to make room for more people to come in, because the fire code, we only have so many people in the building. So, just put that out there.
Yes.
This way everybody can speak. Okay. So that, we're going to have more meetings.
She's going to be a baseball player, huh?
We already started the meeting already. If they were here earlier, we would have moved the meeting. Because we already have started it. But there's probably going to be more than a one-night discussion. So there's probably be more than a one-night discussion, so we can have another discussion and have it at the middle school. All right?
So it's going to rotate?
Yeah.
When we started at 7, there wasn't as many people. If we would have seen as many people at 7, we would have moved. We already started the meeting.
Do you want to read the next name? Are you there here?
Okay. Cindy Zhang, Emily Yao.
Rob, can you help her?
Oh, Cindy Zhang, okay.
Okay.
They're all cute.
Good evening. My name is Emily Yao. I was born in the United States and I'm Chinese American. I'm in Frank DeFino Central Elementary School. I'm a second grader. I like to have a day off on Chinese New Year Day. I want to stay with my family. I want to stay with my family to celebrate the biggest holiday in Chinese tradition. I would like to go to my grandparents and my aunt's home to get New Year red envelope. Also, I would like to go to Chinatown to see the dragon dance and the lion dance. Hopefully, I'll be able to celebrate Chinese New Year with my family next year.
Thank you.
Cindy Zhang. Okay. Jimmy Yao.
You just need name and address and the microphone as well, sir.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Yao. I live at 709 Montana Drive in Morganville. And okay, as we all know, Marlboro Township and its school district has been widely recognized as a community that welcomes and celebrates cultural diversity. It's evident from the composition of students' population and variety of multicultural programs supported by both school district and local government. We are thankful and proud to be part of a community. And here we're gathering together tonight to present our petition for assign the Chinese New Year as one of many of school district holiday. And there's a few issues with few supporting. There are a few supporting statements which I would like to make is there are many states and cities which currently reserve the Chinese New Year as a school holiday. New York State has just approved Chinese New Year become public school holiday. Governor Cuomo has signed the bill into the law on December 19, 2014. It became the first state law which observed Chinese New Year as a school holiday. San Francisco School District, San Francisco Unified School District, they have observed Chinese New Year as a school holiday. New Jersey public school closed on Chinese. There's many of the New Jersey public school closed on Chinese holiday as well, like Homedale, West Windsor, Plainsboro, Princeton. They are all currently being observing Chinese New Year as a public school holidays. But as of now, New Jersey State Board of Education currently recognize Chinese New Year as an excused voluntary absence. It is really unfair for the student who were absent if teacher teaches new material on their return from the Chinese New Year celebration. Or on another hand, it would be unjust to review for those who were present on the day. And by the demographic information about the Marlboro County, total Asian population in Marlboro is about 18.3%, which are Asian, and 7.6% are Chinese. 7.6% of the total population, in Marlboro's total population is about 40,000 people population. Total Chinese population is around 3,000. This represents a huge percentage of the population in Marlborough. And let's go to the Marlborough School District demographic information. In middle school, we have 2,194 students, but there are 472 students are Asian. In elementary school, there are 3,313 students, and total Asian students in elementary school are 677. That represents over 20% of total student population. And also by 2013 and 2014 enrollment information, total Marlborough Township had enrolled 5,245 students. But the Asian, they represent 22.46%. All this data is coming from New Jersey State of Education at the website. So they is verifiable status. Chinese culture celebrates many holidays as Western New Year, New Year's Day, like January 1st, Mid-Autumn Festival, that's one of the Chinese traditional holiday, and also Christmas. But biggest holiday which we celebrate is Chinese New Year. I've been to the United States for over past 30 years, for 30 years already. I did not have the chance to have a day off when I was in school. But right now, New York State had passed a law. And New Jersey right now is on the way. Many townships right now have people have filed a petition to try to get a Chinese New Year to file as an official school holiday. I just hope my kids in Marlborough will have this opportunity to enjoy to celebrate Chinese New Year before they really pass the school ages. Chinese New Year is celebrated on January 1st, January 1st on lunar calendar. Besides the Chinese celebrate the Lunar New Year, there are many countries celebrate Chinese New Year's as well. And so it's not only for Chinese people, it's for total for Asia, for lots of Asia countries, Asia population, Asia culture. And also by approving this petition, it will send a strong positive signal to our children, not just a word, but in action to respect the culture, the diversity. It also will increase the popularity of Marlborough Township. It will benefit the township by economically, financially, and politically. More and more ethnic groups will be moving to township. More and more business will be opened. More and more jobs will be created. And more Marlborough local business will be benefited. It is a chain reaction. Hopefully there will be new places called Marlborough Chinatown in the near future. We will. It will. This is something that we are really looking forward to. In conclusion, today we have collected 846 signed petitions from Marlborough residents and current students from our school district. We are here representing the whole Chinese community. As everybody here, we're only a small portion of the total Chinese community. But we're showing here to represent the whole Chinese community to ask our Board of Education board members to approve our petition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonnie Gabison.
Hello.
Bonnie Gabison, 2 Harvest Court. I'm here to speak about the park. Surprise. I was going to phrase some questions, but I think I will change that around a little bit because I have a full schedule here tonight. I wanted to say that parents in New Jersey are becoming increasingly aware of the problems with high-stakes testing, such as PARC, as we're federally state mandated to take here in New Jersey. They're becoming increasingly aware as to how the high-stakes testing is changing the face of how we educate our children. Last week, there was a State Board of Education meeting. Hundreds of parents from New Jersey, throughout New Jersey, showed up to express their objections to the park. For the last 2 days on New Jersey 101.5 radio, there have been hour-long call-in sessions with hundreds of parents calling in, expressing their objections to the park test. I think parents, particularly in Marlborough, are becoming more aware of the problems with the park test and more aware of their rights to refuse the test. They're becoming aware that park scores are not used for placement of their child for the next year. The park test performance is not used to diagnostically to determine students' academic strengths or weaknesses or to direct instruction for that student. Parents are becoming aware that they have a right to refuse any and all standardized tests for their children as protected by the 12th Amendment of the Constitution, which deals with parental rights. They're becoming aware that New Jersey is a waiver state to the federal No Child Left Behind Act and is not in danger of losing any federal or state funds as a direct result of refusing to take the test. There are districts throughout New Jersey that are listening to the parents that are coming to their board meetings. Recently in Bloomfield, New Jersey, the district listened to its parents. They introduced a policy that states parental decisions should be met with educationally appropriate, not punitive responses, including alternative settings and activities whenever possible. As a parent, I would like to just state that I think you can anticipate an increasing number of refusals. I know of some. I don't want to speak for other people, but I think it would be wise to anticipate that you will have refusals, and I think you have a obligation to the students that you teach and to their parents to come up with a similar policy that is not punitive to students who are refusing the test. As I understand it, the state has communicated that that policy on how to handle refusals will be placed in the hands of local districts and not the state. So it really is within your power to come up with a plan for parents and students who are refusing to take the test. And that's it. And I would like to ask who we should direct letters of refusal to, particularly. Will it be the principal or will it be the superintendent? And I would like to ask, does Marlborough at this time have a policy on how you're going to handle refusals and what that might look like?
Okay, we'll answer like we always at the end of public session. If we can't answer those tonight, we will. If not, someone will get back to you.
So the specific question is, does Marlborough have a policy as to how they will handle refusals for the park test?
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Andreas May.
Good evening, board members. My name is Andreas May. I reside at 1 Carter Drive in Marlborough, obviously. I'm an immigrant from Myanmar or Burma, and the Lunar New Year that everybody talk about, we celebrate it in our family in the country that I came from. So it's more than that, more than what other people I talk about. I've been in Marlborough since '87, and my kids both were born here, grew up here. My older one already in college, and the younger one's about to graduate from high school. And every year, I kept them up at my home during Chinese New Year or the Lunar New Year, except until they reach high school, because I cannot afford for them to miss their classes anymore. So they go to school on that day. I personally take off that day from work. Right, so I really plead the board members to approve this day as a school holiday so that other kids following us won't have to take off the day, be marked as absent, and miss the class and have to make it up for it. Right, so I plead you to approve this day as a official holiday for Marlborough School. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Grace Eng.
My name is Grace Eng, and I am a freshman in Marlborough High School. I strongly believe that we shouldn't have school on Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is the main holiday that Chinese celebrate every year. It is the start of a new year with happiness and prosperity. Chinese New Year is my favorite holiday of all time. Not just because I can eat candy and sweets anytime I want without getting yelled at and receiving red envelopes, but I also get to reunite with my extended family that I hardly get to see. Chinese New Year is all about spending time with family and celebrating the culture and happiness it brings. Chinese New Year should be a holiday at Marlborough High School because many people throughout our school celebrate this holiday and the culture. Chinese New Year is a big part of our culture. Many people celebrate it in different ways, but one thing that never changes over the years is family. People travel all over around the world to visit their relatives to rejoice. When I was in elementary school, my parents used to pull me out of school on Chinese New Year to go to New York to celebrate. It's an amazing time, and I always look forward to it. In today's society, culture is fading, and even though it is part of what defines us as people, we should celebrate our origins and the customs that come with it. As I participate in community events, participating in Chinese and regular school, it is apparent that the Asian ethnicity is largely represented in Marlborough. The student population of Marlborough High School is 20% Asian. This equates to 300 students having to choose between missing school and being behind or missing. This equates to 300 students having to choose between missing school and being behind or missing spending time with family as an important cultural holiday. To conclude, many people throughout school celebrate the holiday and this culture. This is why we should acknowledge Chinese New Year as a holiday and our school. I hope you take this into consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Harry Alex.
Hello, my name is Harry Alex, and I'm in 7th grade. And Chinese New Year is a very big part in Chinese culture. In matter of fact, it is a big part in Asian culture in general. I have many friends and acquaintances who celebrate Chinese New Year, and I think they would appreciate having this day off. Also, it is a day for me to spend quality time with my family in New York and distant relatives with my family in New York, whom I only see a few times a year. It would be such a joy to spend time with them and create memories that last forever. And so I wish that you would take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the end of our sign-in sheet, but if anybody else wishes to address the board for any item, you're welcome to at this time. I just need name and address on the microphone and as well on the clip-on. Yep.
Need your address.
Hi, everybody. Okay, first of all, Dr. Reeves and Mike and everyone. Look familiar faces to me because I was in the position before. All right, okay, I'm really trying to say is, quite honestly, we don't, when I was sitting there, I always hope a lot of people sitting here years ago. And I wish you guys can also participate, not only just for this issue, But I do think this is a very important issue because a lot of students that I understand, they miss the class, they miss the homework and they miss the assignment, and they miss any new information they should learn. And that's something probably we ignore. So we'll be, quite honestly, I do think it's important to have a fair opportunity for students. They also can, in the position to have a holiday, and that way they don't have to miss anything. This is my concern, and my student already. My kids, they're already really grown. So for me since the reason I'm here because I do concern as a part of a community member. I really wish you board member, you take into consideration. I remember the years when Chinese school, all the schools, we participate a lot of activity together, and even till now, we still go to the different location, like it's different school and cultural activity during Chinese New Year, and also other holiday like, for example, mooncake festival, and all different festival. We go to different location. We go to senior home. We also have we're using different space that we can show our engagement to the community. So what I'm trying really to say is we're part of the family, and we should take it into consideration that when you think about your family, participate and dedicate to the family, the member, and to the family, then we should take into consideration that this is very important, that we can treat equally to everybody, just like other, for example, Jewish holiday as well. All right, this is my concern, and I wish this board member can take into consideration seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the public wish to address the board on any item? Bless you.
Bless you. It's on.
Okay. Good evening, board members and the board of directors and the vice directors. Thank you for spending this time to listen to our presentation. I think you have already noticed that so many people are coming for support and asking you to give this day as an official day. I just received a text message from the people that cannot come inside the room saying that make sure you know that the asking for a staff professional service day. That day, teachers come to the school. Each year, you have days for the teachers come to the school in January and February. And why not give one day to the students as an official holiday? I think this is a very good suggestion. And then I appreciate it for your consideration, and we are looking for the positive response from you. And as you know that the Chinese culture have been for these past years sharing the culture with the community. And the Multicultural Day, since our mayor come to, as the mayor of Marlborough Township, we have 6 and 7 years, and the Multicultural Day, all the Chinese performance, I think people enjoyed it very much. And also the Moon Festival activities, kite flights in Marlborough High School, we attracted a lot of people coming to this activity. And also the tea ceremony, one time we kind of had a demonstration in the rec center. We also attracted a lot of people come to. And also, as Joe mentioned, every year we have our Chinese performance in all the senior centers. And serve those people. So it's really kind of, for the Chinese Asia community, they are enjoyed it to sharing the culture with you. And also they are just very kind of want to use support, give that as a Chinese school, as a official school day. So let these children, families reunited, enjoy their celebration. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. I just need a name and address on the microphone. I just need name and address.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah. My name is Hui Mingsheng. I'm residing 32 Forson Lane, Morganville. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to address the board? Nadia, I'm sure I just need on the clipboard, name, address, and then the microphone.
Hey, Dr. Hibbs, rest of the board. My name is Matthew Meyerson.
Pull the mic out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Gotta be on the tape.
My name is Matthew Meyerson. I live at 3 Holly Hill Road. I have 3 small children. My daughter is a 3rd grader at Morrell. I have 2 smaller children that will be going into kindergarten next year and the year after. I've read through the board meeting minutes going back through November, and I think that was the last time that there was an official update on the status of full-day kindergarten for next year. There's a lot of, I think, confused information out there about what the program will be for next year. My wife has called several times and has been told that no decision will be made until February, but that I think was important that no decision had been made. But a lot of other people are under the impression that full-day kindergarten is off the table for next year. There's obviously a large financial impact for families that have young children. The enrichment program, which we did put our daughter through, I think was upwards of $5,000. Private full-day kindergarten is, comparable money. So it takes some financial planning to be able to afford that. And so I was just wondering if we can get an update on where the program is for next year. Thank you.
Okay, we'll respond at the end of the public session, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the public wish to address the board at any item?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sign
Yep.
in, please. All right.
If you're a student, I don't need your address, otherwise I do. Okay.
Okay, so my name is Rachel Kwok. I'm a senior in Marlborough High School. Today, I would really like to see the considerations that our community has to present for Chinese New Year. I'm a senior and I'm 18 years old. I never took a day off throughout my educational life, I guess. But I feel like that really took away what culture really means to me. As an adolescent, I have many classmates, many students, many friends that participate in performances. And we do have community activities in Marlborough. We go around, but when it comes to New Year's Eve, when it comes to the Lunar New Year, we go to Chinatown or we go to Flushing in New York. There we perform dragon dances and yo-yos performances and all these other wonderful things that represent our culture. But I feel like as an adolescent, we are going to college and we are leaving Marlborough Township. And what are all the younger kids under us going to do when we have these traditions that are not passed on? I feel like if we have the Lunar New Year pass off as a day, as a holiday for us, we can show the younger students, the younger children, that we can bring up the culture, bring up the spirit, and have more participation in our performances so the township and the community can understand what Chinese New Year really means to us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the board wish to, from the public wish to address the board in any item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public session. Victoria?
Thank you for coming out. I'd like to make a motion to this board that we add to a near future board agenda, Mike, that we have a lengthy discussion of possibly adding the Chinese New Year as an official holiday in a future meeting once we can get information and everything back from Dr. Hibb.
Okay, there's a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
Okay, well, Craig had his hand up, Bonnie. Okay, let's second it. It's officially seconded. Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the table to bring up at a future workshop meeting the possibility of adding Chinese New Year holiday as a school day, off the school day on the calendar. So first I'll open the motion discussion, then we'll take a vote. Is there any discussion on the motion? Sure.
I have. It's on? I don't know because I can't. It's usually louder. I have to say that I was I think one of the founding members of CAMEL. I was there from the very beginning, and I've always been very welcomed by the CAMEL people, and they are very. The community has always been very welcoming to me, my husband, and it's been fun to learn about the different holidays. And the Lunar New Year is one of my favorites to always go and be part of. And I even though we're going to have a very lengthy discussion of it, having been a part of it and learning about it, knowing the importance of it to the Chinese community, my voice will be with the Chinese community, and I will speak for them. This is a very rich and a culture that's thousands of years old, and that's been brought home to me because when the exchange students came from China with their chaperones, and we brought them to the National Museum of the American Indian in the city, and we were taking them around, one of the chaperones stopped us and said, you know, we view the United States as a baby country. And seeing this museum, I have to take back to China the fact that you really are in a baby country. You are a country of very rich culture. And seeing this museum brought that to us. So knowing the richness and how this culture is, and how important this holiday is to the Asian American community. And I've learned that by being part of CAMEL. I will speak with them. So that's all I have wanted to say.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, Cindy, please call the roll.
John.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, John.
I have something to say to the Chinese Americans are here. I appreciate that you came in here, raise your voice and your concern, request something which is important for you. That is important for me too, because this is my culture. This is what I grew up with. So I'm hear you. I'm gonna to be open-minded, discuss with my board member, and I encourage you to come to the board meeting more often. Whenever you have concern, speak out, be here. Thank you.
That was well said, John, because as Joe said, many times we look out to file cabinets.
Yeah.
so
Very true.
Any further discussion on the motion? Sure, Joanne.
Yeah. I want to say something. I looked around all the people from, from Marlborough mentioned the points, right? Marlborough is a really diversity town, right? Its population, we have all the data provided in the each board member, for the population percentage-wise. Really, all the regarding from age group, from young to there, of the different age group, make their point, and for our children in the Marlborough Township, we would really think about it, right? The kids would really rather celebrate their holiday with their family members, right? And they also struggling missing the school day, and also versus they stay with the family, with their children, with their grandparents, and the culture. As I mentioned, while I grown, I have just really the family as my tradition or my culture too. even my husband come from, it's a different culture from Chinese. Every year I celebrate, Chinese New Year too. So my kids will not go to school during the Chinese New Year. So that's our tradition, carry on even my first generation in China. That's why I can provide evidence to you to thank you so much for all you coming. I'm really touching by all the people you come here, and thank you all.
Thank you, Joanne. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, Cindy, please call the roll.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Henny?
Yes.
Mrs. Cow?
Yes.
Mrs. Lou Rudell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosenwald?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Lolanski?
Yes. So again, thank you all for coming out tonight. I will make sure, I will ask the superintendent that we'll advertise this meeting well in advance so everybody knows what workshop we'll be at, and we'll move it to the middle school. I'll ask them, please move it to the middle school. There's plenty of room for anybody that wants to come. So we'll have the whole middle school auditorium available. Okay? So that motion is passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to answer the questions that I can answer right now. So, Bonnie, the first question was about your letter. So if so desired, you want to have the opt-out, that the unofficial opt-out, the refusal, you would address that to your building principal, and I will make sure the principals acknowledge you back, obviously, so that you know that your request was heard. That will then pass to the curriculum director, who then schedules all of our testing. Okay? That's the first one. The second question is, do we have a policy for refusal? No, we don't have a policy for refusal. So what will happen in Marlborough is that if a parent keeps their children home or their child home during the test dates are up on the website. The makeup days will be released to you. So if you would like to keep your child home from Park, that's going to be a parental call. Now, the unfortunate part of that will be is if children have many days out, it could lead to a truancy charge. That's just simply our policy and what we do. There is no official opt-out by the state, nor will we provide an alternative placement or education. So, and I'm not judging, I'm just simply saying what we will do. There can't be a back and forth. There is no official policy, though. No. The procedure that we will take care of, because there's no official policy in our policy manual about refusal. So what I'm going to do is follow the direction of the state, which is there is no official opt-out. If a child is not here for the regular administration or the makeup days, that will be it. I'm not going to wait for your child to come back and grab and give them the park test. So if they're absent for both, then they will be not taking the park test in Marlborough for that year.
Just Dr. So I can understand, is it possible for a child to miss a park test but come in after and still be enough hours in school?
Yeah, they have to hit the correct hour mark, absolutely. And honestly, I think the longest park administration is 3 hours. So there's no reason why they can't come for the latter half of the day and have it counted. Absolutely.
My understanding that is not, that they do not have to do the same thing for the makeup test. Makeup test is given during regular instructional time, so you're now pulling my child out of his instructional time, and there's nothing you can do to force him to take a test during a regular school day. So,
Yeah.
that's your policy, I can't.
Yeah. Well, what we're
Superintendent wants to respond to Superintendent, but
yeah,
we can have another. If you want to stay for the second session, Bonnie, we can have as many questions more as you like. You good?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, let me just take it.
Okay.
I'll just take it, fully respecting you, because it shouldn't be this, okay? But rather than have you hanging and not answer you, I'm gonna honor you. I'm not gonna go past the makeup, but from my superintendent point of view, we have an administration and a makeup. If your child is here or misses the administration and is here for makeup, they will be administered the makeup. If the child refuses, then it'll be noted, and that's how it'll be scored. But they will sit through or have to attempt to sit through the regular and the makeup. Okay.
The kindergarten.
Oh, kindergarten. Sorry, sir. Okay. So tonight, after this, the board is going to hear a presentation on a modular discussion at Abbott. So as of right now, the question is, where are we? We're half day. That's where we are. It's going to take not to quote a Princess Bride, but it's going to take a miracle for a full day to happen next year. It really will at this point. So to be honest with you, right now we are set up as half day. The board and I wanted to hear all options that were available to them, and a modular discussion was something that had merit that we wanted to make sure we explored so the board can make an informed decision. So as of right now, up on the website, KCP is still in motion. So then as a parent, you'd have to decide whether or not you're looking privately or whether or not you're looking at KCP. But as of right now, I just want to be honest with you. In my opinion, that's where we are.
Well, it's the second public session. You can ask questions.
Did it for one person.
Yeah, you can ask. Want to ask one question? Just.
Did anything happen with the discussions with Colts Neck? Because my understanding is that they're looking at closing the Conover school because they don't have enough students. So why is that not an option for putting students there?
It's a great question. It's not an option because Colts Neck hasn't officially said that they're closing any school.
Do they have the space? I mean, is there?
I can only tell you what. Yeah. Are there avenues? Sure, there could be an avenue for discussion, but this board, through me, reached out to Colts Neck and their board. They fully know that we were interested in having a discussion. Right now, Colts Neck has not closed any school at all. And I just met again with the Colts Neck superintendent through the regional roundtable just yesterday.
Okay, we've looked through every option. This is going on for a long time. We looked through every option, putting in our buildings. We had a great idea to go over to Colts Neck. The superintendent did reach out. That's at a stalemate, as he just told you. So unless something really changes quick and like an amazing miracle, we don't see it in September. Okay, so that'll close our public session. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn for 10 minutes so the parents that want to get their young children home can do so. Second motion by Victoria. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, against? No. So we'll adjourn for 10 minutes. Thank you all for coming on, being very passionate. All right, we are back in session. We have a quick general discussion of the 2015-2016 school year calendar. Dr. Hibbs?
Yeah, there's only 4 bullets because we didn't deliver the full calendar. You're going to get that at the next sessions that we talk about. But there's a few things I wanted you to chew on for a second. I always sit down and take a look at everybody that sends the regional, including the regional, to see what they're doing. If you can look at it. And this is directly from the green notes. Tuesday is September 1st, Wednesday is the 2nd, Thursday is the 3rd, and Friday is the 4th. So teachers are essentially paid starting September 1st anyway by contract. What I think would be a very nice thing to do is to do exactly what the regional is doing, which is to close down for Labor Day on the Friday and the Monday, and you would then do in-services on the Thursday and the Wednesday, which means that staff wouldn't come in until Wednesday. They'd have Wednesday, Thursday, which would be 2 of the professional days that we have, and then Friday would be closed, as would Monday. And then
So we start school that 8th?
you would everyone is slated to start school on the 8th. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So as opposed to having them come for 2 days and then, or not come and then come for Thursday, Friday, which I think it would be just a nicer gesture. Yes, and it's the exact same number of days. All you're doing is just, instead of having off on a Tuesday, you're having off on the Friday, which is the exact same thing. That was one thing I wanted you to think of. The second thing is, we just as an FYI, we table set this year for the professional days. We did a half day on the Friday, and then we did a full day on the Monday, which we found effective. I just wanted you we're going to continue that again. the one I want you to consider is Thanksgiving. So we ran a report over the last few years. We had Adam run it, and absences on Thanksgiving are in upwards of in the 400 plus mark, whereas any other average day you're in 90 to 100.
So you're at the 25th.
I'm talking, the day before, the day before Thanksgiving. We are really the only place around that doesn't give a half day on Thanksgiving. And there's a ton of absences. Coupled with this year, it actually coincided with a very nasty storm. I don't know if you recall. But a lot of places were actually talking and looking into, they would have looked, and we wrote it out. But to me, it just doesn't make any sense. We have upwards of 400 to 500 kids out every year. It's a ton of kids, and then the other one that I want you to think about also, we typically have only done one half day at the very end of the school year, and that half day is always graduation day. So what ends up happening is that the principals of the middle schools and elementary schools have a very difficult time actually doing the checkout procedures that we have to do as a course of business at the end of the school year. So you would have Mr. Pacifico and Memorial trying to check out tons of rooms and still trying to attend to graduation, and then teachers don't come back. We are limited to 186 days, and the only way to have teachers come back after that day would be to actually sacrifice a professional learning day for a checkout day, which is something we can't do. So to me, I instead of having one half day at the end, I really think you should think about having 2 half days, and then plus you always have heat as well during that last week, which is typically towards the latter part of June. So those are just a couple things I want you to think about as we progress on with the calendar. All of which fall in line with not only the regional but all the sendings. We even at 2 half days at the end of the year, you're still below what a lot of people do. Everyone does the half day for Thanksgiving, and then I want you to think about the beginning days.
Correct.
Just a quick question. Definition, table setting, that's just allowing time to get ready for the full day in service?
Yeah, so we did like a half day springboard into the full day. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody have any other questions on what Dr. Hibb just talked about? This is just very preliminary discussion. Okay, thank you, sir.
You got it.
All right, that'll bring us to our presentation on the Mobile East Modular Service. I don't know your names, I apologize. If you would like to introduce yourselves to us, and we'll get going.
Sure. I'm Pete Barton, and I'm with Henya Montag and Mike Eggles, and we're all from Mobile East Modular Space. Thank you very much for having us. We have come out one other time and met with Dr. Hibbs and took a look at the David Abbott Elementary School with the idea of possibly you may be looking at some space at that school. And we're just here to show you what modular construction could do if that's the method that you'd want to go with. So if you could, okay. Mobile East is located in New Jersey. We've been in business for 17 years. And we have experienced quite 3 or 4 modular projects that were multi-story, and that's what we're focused here because the site at David Abbott would require, a 2-story modular building. So we have we've done a few projects there, but besides Mobile Lease, our industry has done plenty of multi-story prefabricated buildings. There's actually a lot of hotels that are going up right now that are prefabricated, as well as a lot of other.
I'm going to interrupt you. What hotels?
I don't have the detail of which ones, but I could follow up with what they are. But there's a lot of hotels that are going up that are prefabricated. You don't think so?
No, but if you're selling a lot of hotels, I'd like to know what hotels.
I'm not selling a hotel. I'm just trying to let you know that from prefabricated standpoint,
Okay, thank you.
there's a.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you have experience building those building those buildings for schools with the young children?
Yes. We've been in business for 17 years, and most of the biggest segment we're involved in is the education segment. And we've bid and successfully completed many prefabricated classroom projects in the state of New Jersey.
Elementary schools.
Yes. And the state of New Jersey has qualifications too, as far as who's qualified to be a representative that sell and lease modular buildings in the state, and we have those classifications. Modular buildings are built off-site, so you have, we deal with quite a few different manufacturers, and there's some in Pennsylvania, there's quite a few in Indiana, and we have an opportunity as a dealer in the industry to buy off those different manufacturers. Some of them are better suited for a multi-story building, some are better suited for single-story buildings. Mobile Lease also has a couple of national co-ops. I don't think it really would pertain to this project in particular. However, I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have a national co-op with several recognized names. This particular project was in Easton, Pennsylvania. Believe it or not, we actually did it in 1999, and there was two projects to this job. One was at one elementary school, and another one was at a middle school. Both very similar in the sense that there was a two-story wood construction modular building that was connected to their existing school facility. There was no elevator to it because we connected to the top floor and the bottom floor. The next project was fairly recent, I believe in 2011 or 2012. We did a medical office building at the University of Virginia, which is a nice project in the sense that if you've ever been down at the University of Virginia, it's a beautiful campus, and they very much like their architecture down there. So it was quite a challenge and a great experience to put up a prefabricated building on that campus that has such history. So we had to really go through a lot in order to do that, and it turned out really well, and they're happy with it. That is also another building that's connected to the existing building. What's that?
How big was that project, square footage wise? Any idea?
I'm thinking it was about 17,000 square feet total, but I'm not positive. We do have drawings. I don't know if we have any drawings on us right now, but I think, yeah, if you have my card, or I can email that to Dr. Hibbs.
Sure.
That is kind of the unfinished product, but just showing that how we're installing them on top of one another, as well as some foundations that are there. And actually, at the University of Virginia, there's a lot of finish work too. The factory did some, but probably only maybe 50% of the overall site was really done at the factory. The rest was done on site. And that's a lot to do with they were in a rush, but they still couldn't figure out what exterior they wanted and a couple interiors, so they had us build it like this, and we kind of finished it off when it got there. That's just an idea of the elevation. With the modular buildings, it's prefabricated, but it's built the same as any other construction. You know, I'm not sure if you guys were ever interested in going forward with some type of prefabricated building. We'd really need to sit down with you or your architect and kind of nail down what you're actually looking for in terms of specification, aesthetics, this delineation of what you really want us to do as compared to maybe somebody else. But the modular, you would get we would do the engineering first, and that's typically what takes place once we have an idea as far as a drawing, and there's an order placed. There is engineer drawings that are done that are sealed by an engineer, as well as when it's being built, there's the third-party engineer at the manufacturer plant that is signing off as the building is being built to make sure it's being built as the original drawings show. This is just a couple ideas of some of what would be in the drawings. The next project was a 3-story project we did down at Newport News Shipyard, which we have an office down in Newport News, so we do a lot of business with the shipyard. The shipyard, I don't know if you've ever been there, but if you're ever down in Newport News, you should try to visit that yard. That's where they, build all the large ships. Like they just finished the Ronald Reagan carrier, along with some other, mammoth ships. It's very impressive down there. But what they did at Newport News is the yard is filled with a lot of trailers. So what they did is, they got rid of probably about 100 trailers, and they had us build this 3-story modular building. So to reduce a lot of the clutter. It also has an elevator to it. And the foundation is, is not your normal foundation. You see the steel underneath it. Yes?
Yeah, can I have a question? In terms of construction for modular home, there's no foundation, right? This is still like the box are put into, there's no foundation inside, right?
Yeah, there's all sorts of different foundations, and there's a difference really from the residential modular buildings to the commercial modular buildings, but there's varying foundations depending on what the building is, what the site conditions are, how long you're going to use it. So there would be a foundation. The question is, what kind of foundation would you have?
Oh, you just said something. How long we're going to use it?
Right. Well, I would think.
How long you were going to use it? Some of our buildings are here 50 years.
Please.
Oh, sorry. That concerns me because some of our buildings are here 50 years and probably will be here 50 or more years, long past this board that's seated now, and boards, and probably
50 will outlast me. I love it here.
Yeah. You'd only be 70.
married, but
Well, the modular building that I would, that the idea that I got speaking to Dr. Hibbs and what it would be used for would be really a permanent modular building, and there would be no reason why it couldn't last as long as any of your conventional buildings that you've built or built.
which would be
100 years. And it comes down to maintaining it, but there's no reason why it couldn't be used that long. It's not a building that you'd want to break apart and relocate somewhere. It'd be a building that you'd put in a certain spot where you'd want to keep it. So it really would be considered a permanent building. But it's built the same way as if you were building it conventionally. So why can't it last as long as that?
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, my answer would be it can.
Just because I come from engineering background, just quick thing to ask you. Conventional home, right, versus a modular home. The data analyzed you so far in here, what is the advantage conventional home versus a modular home? The second question is, in terms of when you build the stability, we know the building time will be shorter for the modular home versus a conventional home. But in the say the capacity for building for how long can last, and what's the installation wise the temperature, how can we in terms of the specification, what is the between the conventional home and modular home? Do we have all the comparison data provided? Yeah.
Sure. The one question you just asked, the final question was, what's the comparison between a modular home and a conventional home? The one thing, we're actually talking about commercial buildings, but just say it's the same thing, modular versus conventional. It's going to be built up to today's codes. So if today's codes require X insulation or X this, that would be going into the modular building, just as if it was a conventional building.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, what was the other question you had?
I guess we're all concerned. We understand modular, as Joanna said, is quicker. You could tell us how much quicker that. We appreciate that. We also understand that modular is reduced cost. Unless I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong now. I think I've heard that modular is reduced cost over building.
Like, for instance, the project that you're considering right now,
yeah.
I would say you're not really saving a whole lot of money as far as the construction of it. Where you'd be saving is we would be able to do this project within probably a 6-month period without any problems in terms of the township, whether you have to go through zoning or something like that, but that would be relative to conventional construction. And conventional construction would probably take at least a year or a year and a half. So the advantage is speed in that situation. And the other thing is, with our 6 months, we really would only be on your site for maybe 4. If it's going to be conventional construction, it's going to last longer than that, maybe a full year or a year and a half. So based upon the school I saw, there's a lot of kids and there's a lot of traffic going on. That would take up a lot of problems from that perspective. And the length of time that it would take maybe would be the difference of actually allowing a full-day kindergarten in there a year sooner, which I would think that speed would be a benefit in terms of finances. In terms of aesthetics, the building could be matched with what you already have out there. I mean, the question is, what do you want in terms of specifications, and how do you want them done? We could, do something where it's less expensive. That's probably more would be finished at the factory. If you want to match up something, closer or something that's not necessarily done at the factory, but can certainly be finished on site, that can be done too. So the question is, what do you really want in terms of, but the aesthetics could be matched, you can match up what you already have.
So I get that, but I was under the assumption that you walk through our buildings at the Abbott Center.
Right.
And let's be under the assumption that we just want to add on to the Abbott Center, what we already have.
Right.
We know what cost per square foot for someone to come in and construct for us. We think we know.
Right.
You're looking at our building, you're prepared to tell us what you think? I'm not talking about adding diamonds and blinking lights and, anything fancier than what you saw in that building now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the approximate per square foot cost is to build that modular picture right there?
I think that gets confusing until you actually really sit down and go over things with, a little finer with either an architect or the school in terms of figuring out. I can throw a per square foot number, but it doesn't mean anything. My point is, It will not cost anything more than conventional construction. Probably will save you some money.
Is it going to cost less?
He said before it wouldn't.
I just want to make sure, did you say it was not going to cost less? It was just going to.
It's not going to cost more, but it's not necessarily going to cost less in terms of matching up a multi-story building with all the other stuff that's going into it and the cafetorium and some other things. I don't think it's really going to cost much less. It may not cost less at all, but the savings would be, it would take us 6 months as compared to a year and a half or a year.
John?
Quick question. The Easton School
Yes.
that you did in '99, are there any other schools that you've done more currently? That's number one. Number two, looking at the Easton picture, am I to assume that there you go, that the bottom section, just each one where there's a split, each one's a section, one on the bottom, one on top?
Mhm.
How big are those sections, offhand?
I think the boxes were 14 by 60 something.
Okay, based off of that, to build that box
Mhm.
and to put that box where it is, you got to have some basic cost. If I wanted one box, what would that be?
Well, what?
Because in all honesty, I was told that this was going to be a lot less expensive, and I'm not hearing that. But I'm saying to myself, I know what modular is because I used to watch the hotels and different buildings go up in Jersey City, and they would come in with prefab slabs and just lay it right on the girders.
Right.
Just everything just fit in like a puzzle.
Mhm.
It's all prefab. But this is going to be built on a site. We rolled in, and let's say it's 2,000 square. Well, it's 160 by. Well, somebody's got a calculator. By what?
What do you got?
What'd you say? It was 160
By 14.
by 14?
No,
60 by 14.
But that looks.
Each box is probably a 14 by 60.
Well, I just want to get, in my mind, the ballpark is 840. 840 square feet. So I guess the question is, what would it cost to do one of those, something that looks similar to that? A box.
Well, I can tell you that there was two projects. I think the one building was about 16,000 square feet, and the other one was about 12,000 square feet. And I think the total project was around $4 million. And that included,
1099, right.
and that included everything, tying the utilities in, plumbing connected to the existing school. But that there's specifications to that is you may not want with this.
No, I understand
It's
that.
later, right? But what I'm going to tell you is the overall project cost, I think, $4 million for.
That was 99.
That's 99, yeah.
We're 15 years out, and we want it to look like the Abbott.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to get a feel for what is in
My-
square foot for a box,
I-
because then, and how much room is in a box, and how much room are we going to need?
I think what I'm just trying to.
Figure it that way.
I think I'm just trying to tell you that it's not going to cost more than conventional construction. It depends on really what you're looking for. I mean, you could be looking for something that actually does make it cost fairly expensive in terms of modular buildings. However, it's the time savings that really becomes critical. The other thing is, I mean, if you're going to do this project, it's going to go out to some type of bid, but I can certainly sit down with somebody and after we have an idea of what you're looking for, give you a solid budget in terms of what the budget would be or what you could expect it would cost.
Have you done schools in New Jersey?
Yes.
What schools have you done in New Jersey?
We've done projects in Monroe Township.
And where else?
We've done projects in Princeton. We've done projects Bridgeton, Linden, New Jersey.
Is there any way we can get a listing, some information?
Absolutely.
References? Of
Yeah,
pick up the phone?
absolutely.
So the only plus to doing your project, from what I'm gathering from you, is a time issue. So it'll cost approximately the same amount of money, approximately, not more than stick-built, but it'll be a time issue. It'll definitely be less than stick-built.
Absolutely, it would be a improved time as well as disturbing your site. I have a question for you guys. The elementary, the Abbott School, I may be not understanding this correctly, but you're considering what, full-day kindergarten, and right now it's half-day?
Exactly. It's
So
a
it would,
half-day building.
it potentially could increase the size of the population at the school, you know,
Absolutely.
100% or 80%, a significant amount.
Significant.
Does the school charge money for kindergarten or that age group? Do you guys get revenue for that?
Currently,
Yes.
on the half-day program, parents have the option of paying for KCP, our kindergarten complement program,
Mhm.
stay for the latter half of the day. So,
Half-day's free.
yeah, so the half-day is included with taxes.
Right.
And then the other half, well, sorry, the half-day is free, yes. I mean, it's included by paying your taxes.
Right.
You don't pay for that. If you want to stay for the wraparound, for the complement, then you have to pay.
Which I'm guessing if it opened up where it could be full day, there's probably a lot of parents would take advantage of, you know, I have my child out here for a half a day. I could certainly use them to stay in there for the next 3 hours or 4 hours.
The whole day is free. Whole day is free.
Whole day is free?
Yeah.
So it's free?
Can you speak to, you brought out a diagram.
Yes.
A diagram. Did you bring a diagram based on what administration told you what we needed? Sounds like you weren't sure what we're doing, what we needed. Did you?
We we put together just a basic drawing based upon what we had heard in the conversation, and we had a basic conversation with the architect, and he had done a simple, you know, floor plan, and we kind of mimicked the floor plan.
Yes.
So yes. So you tell us in the drawing, let's just get to the nuts and bolts. In the drawing, how many classrooms, how many students, what are you presenting to us here in this drawing?
I think the drawing identifies, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 classrooms on each floor. So potentially, you could be looking at 28 classrooms, potentially.
28.
And there's also a cafeterium. There's a cafeterium section there and a kitchen and a bathroom area.
Is there an elevator in your drawings?
There's an elevator in the plan that would be part of the project.
So you couldn't, looking at the Abbott building as it stands now, and knowing we want to get as close to aesthetics as you see now, and I understand the board will have to make a decision, you say to us, looks like the Abbott it costs this, it looks a little different than the Abbott it costs this, I get that. But looking at it and saying we want to look as close to the Abbott as we can, you can't give us any kind of ballpark of what this modular thing would look like? I kind of thought that.
I mean, I wish I could, but I really feel like I would just kind of confuse the situation, because there's too many pieces to it to say, you know, here's a number.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, if somebody tell you, you know, conventional construction is X, I hope they give you a decent detail of what that means, outside of just, you know, the X square footage.
So how would you recommend we proceed as a board? Because we have to go to the public for referendum. We have to ask our public for money. We have to decide which way we're going to go. So we reached out because we've heard that modular was less expensive. We know it's faster. We know it's less disruption to the building. Now we're hearing that maybe it's not cheaper, but it still is faster. What information do you need from our administration or from the board so that sooner rather than later we can idea what direction we want to go in? Because we're not going to, I don't see how the board makes a decision based on just it's just faster without knowing what the cost is.
Sure. Well, we'd be happy to come back out and meet with the school as well as maybe your architect. Are you going to have an architect on this project or no? If you do, I think it would be valuable if we met with that person and had a real discussion in terms of, you know, what type of finishes you'd want, what type of scope of work you'd want us to do, and maybe some scope of work somebody else would do. And then identify all the things that would really have to go into this project and put a cost to it. But to just throw a number out is just, it's too wide open. It's not going to give you any information. It's just only going to confuse the issue later.
Okay, perhaps we're a little premature.
Well, we just, like when I'm on the construction committee, and when we do building projects and we get estimates from architects about, like we did for the, what did you call it, the normal building type. We get conventional. We got an estimate, I was hoping that when you came tonight, I understand it was faster, but when I spoke to your rep at the New Jersey School Board Association, it was almost, we were led to believe it would be much less expensive. Like it was going to be way less expensive. So that's why we pushed it, because we wanted to hear this presentation. Not only, we knew it would save time, but we want to save our district money and still get a quality building.
Right.
And, I'm just a little surprised that you can't give me an estimate.
But I thought that's why this was also pushed out.
Yeah.
They could give us a better presentation.
What were you told we were going to be looking for tonight?
Yeah. Maybe he wasn't,
And-
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't.
Yeah, because I'm curious
Yeah.
as to who told you what.
Well, I'm curious to know what you want from me outside of just, you want a price. Like, do you think the price
I
is?
got to be honest with you. I thought you were coming here to pitch.
What I'm
Here's what I got. Here's what I heard you want. And I'm not talking about the outside, how it's going to look and how pretty, because I know that's going to be add-ons and a little bit more money. I know, I understand that. But I'm looking for a basic, I thought you would have had these conversations with either administration or our architect, and that you knew pretty much we wanted 28 rooms, we wanted to hang it off of the school that exists, and to do that, pretty much here's what it's going to cost within maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million.
You knew we needed 28 classrooms.
Well,
You knew
exactly,
we needed
Bonnie. So I'm just
cafeteria.
curious as to what, because I don't want to get mad at you, but I'm kind of frustrated because I'm sitting here and I'm saying, damn it, I want information that I can make a decision. I got a guy out here along with,
put it out.
he just represents
Put
a
it out.
small portion of the people that are saying, where is this school? When is this going to happen? And I'm sitting here frustrated because I don't have any information.
You should have known that each classroom should be 1,000 square feet. And we have classrooms here that are 700 plus square feet.
I'm just curious as to who told
Well, you put the bathrooms there, it adds up to over 1,000 square feet. But that's also something that could easily be worked out. I mean, it's just a preliminary
Have that information.
floor plan.
I need to have that. So I need to have the square foot. When I sit at the construction meeting and I say to the architect, well, you sat there with us, well, if we add on X, Y, and Z, can you give me an idea of how much that's going to cost? He sits there and he goes, well, if we add this on, it'll approximately cost this amount of money, but you'll have to put it out to bid. And obviously, when we put it out to bid, it comes in an amount, but he gives us a ballpark figure, and he's usually pretty close.
Right. Well, if I sat down with the architect and we go over some things, we could certainly.
We have people who have been waiting, and we've now pushed this project back since November, October, because we didn't do what we were going to do, because we were supposed to go out to referendum in March, and we didn't. And we've been waiting for this project, and you pushed it back, and we thought you were coming, I thought you were coming with a bona fide presentation, and I'm now like, I can't believe I don't have a bona fide presentation. This is like, okay, so I got it. All
right, so.
Now, if I gave you a price, are you ready to do the deal?
Come on,
Craig,
let's
Wait a minute, John.
let's be big boys here.
I think it goes back to the original question. When you were getting in your cars to come here tonight, what were you coming to do?
Well, we're coming here just to give you an idea of what modular construction is all about versus maybe conventional construction, to give you some information on it. That's really what,
Not to pitch the job to say.
Well,
here's
absolutely pitch the job. I mean,
Well,
the job is you're looking for a multi-story, classroom building with another cafeteria room that could be done prefabricated versus conventional. The other thing is you could do is you can actually put the information together, which we'd be happy to collaborate with the school and the architect. They could put the information together, and we can actually have a real budget And you can actually put it out the bid. You know what? You can put it out the bid as a general construction or a prefabricated or both.
My original question, because there's the disconnect. The disconnect is I thought that was already done, and that's what you were coming in here with, that information.
I'm sorry
Well,
that, we met and
But that's
we,
why I asked.
and it's unfortunate we didn't make the first meeting, but something happened and we couldn't do it, and, this was the next, time we
well,
can come here.
We're all on the same page, we're in different spaces. The question, I guess, is, we all agree, we know we have to put out the bid, whatever you tell us has to be done, we know we have to put out the bid. If your organization is willing to put the time into telling us more information, we would appreciate it. If that's something you understand that's work you have to do, which you may not win the bid, we get that as well. So, is that something you would be willing to do? And if it is, and come back to the board, how long would that take you to do and get back to us with, price per square foot, based on looking at the Abbott Center, based on talking to our architect? He knows what we want. So,
The architect knows.
close enough to the construction committee getting together and buttoning it up. He knows what we want. So, is that something we'd be willing to do? Is that out of your scope of what you normally do?
Michael, I gotta ask a question.
Oh, let him ask my question. Let him answer my
question.
what?
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
This gentleman just sat here and said that project would be relatively no different than doing a stick-built building, but the difference is time on the building. Time being built on the building.
But if he knows that, why can't he give me a per square foot charge? What it costs per square foot to
He
build?
just said that multiple times. My question is, we have an architect at this point. We have heard we had the superintendent speak to the superintendent Monroe. Why would we've been sitting here procrastinating at this point, and I don't know why we would continue to go down this road. Honestly.
Well, if we're gonna build it, and if it costs the same or a little bit less, then it's fine.
That's someone, a salesperson.
Okay, but we'll know that when the gentleman decides not to want to come back. But if, then the board has to make a decision, do they still want to pay that much money per square foot for a increased kindergarten, full-day kindergarten? And do they want to do that with a slower time frame, a faster time frame, or not?
But the superintendent already said he has a plan to rebuild if we had the architect, if we go down the road with the architect.
Plan for.
What are you talking about?
You said you had a plan, but that you had a plan if we were to build onto Abbott.
Plan for which, though? I'm confused.
If we were to build onto Abbott.
Private conversations, we didn't hear that. I don't know.
The only plan I heard was no plan.
Yeah, that was no plan, so it must have been a private conversations, we didn't
I don't
get
know what
that.
you're talking about.
If we were to.
Sorry, you're confused, we're confused, don't worry.
Just regular
Yeah,
building
what
onto
hang on,
Abbott.
hang on.
We had a plan to start in September.
Well, the only way, now there's no way to do that. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we had talked about this, I think what Bonnie's referring to is, had we have timed this well with conventional, or had it have gone earlier, there could have been the space of X amount of time where it would have been substantially completed, where we might have been able to open up as a full day and squish.
If a referendum had passed
Yes.
and all that happened.
Yes.
Okay.
But that ship is not visible.
I mean, I want to apologize because I know we're coming down on you. And I feel that you were not given, and you didn't answer the question. You did say, well, I was coming to talk to you about the difference between modular and conventional. I don't think you were given the exact what we were looking for. And I apologize if we're coming down on you because it's not fair. But as a board, we cannot move forward. We're here for the taxpayers and the residents in this town, and we have to have solid information and being very informed when we make decisions. And I'd like for them to come back or at least give us the information. Is it going to be worthwhile if it's not saving us any money? Because I was more sold on it was going to be less. I was led to believe it would be less and less time. So less and less was like a win-win for me. We could get the kids in there quicker, and we were going to save the taxpayers money. So I don't know where everybody else is, but I'd at least like to hear it. I just don't want it to take forever.
The thing about it, I don't know if we're going to save you money or not. I don't know what conventional construction would cost. I'm not sure exactly how you want this building to be built. You know, if we had some more information and we knew
I'm
that,
saying we didn't give you what we
right,
needed.
so
What
it's,
you needed.
I-
So I'm not holding you accountable,
Right.
that's what I'm saying, we didn't give you what you needed, so.
So fix on page what I asked you originally.
Yeah, I'm a-
Are you,
we're definitely willing, and, you know, we do that all the time.
what's the
And
time frame if you can get to architect can get to you quickly, and our administration has time for you, what is your time frame of getting back to the board with that kind of information?
I think it probably would take about 30 days. And that's, you know, I would want the architect to, you know, to talk to us and work with us. Initial conversation is, I mean, I think he wasn't sure, you know, we called him up and he only had a preliminary drawing. He had no real conversation for us in terms of, you know, sitting down and going over what you would want and what you wouldn't want.
Did you ask?
But at the same token, I didn't go into it a whole lot because I really felt like this meeting was about giving you an idea as far as what a
So I
prefabricated
want to know
building
if
is.
you had asked him, because if you had asked him and he didn't.
I'm sure if I pushed him, he probably would have, but he also, I think, did indicate to me that, you know, the school doesn't know that, you know, I'm sure if this, Dr. Hibbs told him that we're calling him, you know, talk to these people and come up with a game plan as far as, or meet with the school as well, and kind of come up with the basic, you know, specifications you're looking for and basic construction that you're looking for. And I'm sure he would, and I'm sure we will, and I'm sure we can come up with a budgetary number.
Cindy,
That would be somewhat
Yeah.
quality.
No offense, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but we gave him full access to TED. We gave him full access to the plans that were there. I thought that this was, and I don't mean this the wrong way. I don't know you well at all, but I thought that you're going to come with some real stuff, as opposed to just this is what it's all about. I mean, we could have gone online and saw pictures of the different things, and they are online. I don't know what I could have conveyed differently with that. I mean, you had the square footage, you had the numbers of rooms, you know, we wanted a full presentation to the board about, you know, what are the options, what can happen, prices. I thought that was conveyed pretty clearly, but I don't want this to sit, I mean, I don't want this sitting on my shoulders, because at the end of the day, I thought we asked for a pretty decent explanation.
I have one more thing to say, and I'm going to lay this out real, and I'm all for saving taxpayer money, but here's what I'm going to say. We were on a track, and again, I'm going to preface this very clearly by saying I am for saving taxpayer money where we have to save taxpayer money. We were on a clear track to going out for referendum in March. This was put to a halt, this referendum, in November, end of October, November. We were supposed to hear, because we want, the majority of the board wanted to hear from you on this process. So now it's mid-January. We would be going out for referendum in March, because we wanted to open up kindergarten in September. That's clearly not going to happen if we go since we're going at this rate. So now we're waiting another month to hear your presentation on a project that you're clearly stating is going to cost approximately the same amount of money as stick-built. So, except time frame. So now what's the next September. So now we wouldn't be able to go out for referendum until September for something that would then have to be, would the architect plans have to be drawn up by the September referendum, Cindy?
Wouldn't have to be, but in order to.
Okay, so the
open up
referendum,
16, 17,
we wouldn't be able to go
everything.
out for bids until after the September, which means that we wouldn't be able to then start going out to bid
for a September referendum, September, October, November, maybe December. It wouldn't be then awarded to January, maybe February, and then it wouldn't be starting to be built until next year. We could have had this project started. It probably would have been halfway or almost completed by the time this would have been. So we're not, we did modular, we're not saving time, we're not saving money, and this could have been completed. So the amount of money we would have saved and the amount of time we would have saved is negated. So again, I'm all
But hindsight is 2020. We wouldn't have done our due diligence. We would have went out to a massive referendum. The public would not doing our full due diligence. Now, what's happened happened, and again, you can't cry over spilled beans. We have
I go on the record saying I was never for this.
Okay. Okay.
Why can't you go out the referendum in March? Why can't you do it?
It's not enough time.
We have to advise the county clerk 60 days in advance of the date, and we don't even have everything lined up in order to do that. We'd have to have the resolution passed, et cetera. You don't have the time to do this. Plus, the project has to be approved by the state, and that we haven't even submitted anything. And you need 90 days with the state for approval.
Okay. So why don't we do this? I think we've gone as far as we can with your presentation tonight without any more facts and figures. So I'll thank you for coming. I think the board should continue speaking within itself, whether we want to go forward with more information from here, go with what we do, and already, and we continue to do that. So thank you again for coming out. Our administration will be in touch with you if we need further information.
Okay, thank you, and we'd be happy to meet with the architect and go over the detail and give you a real budgetary number if you wanted us to do that.
Thank you, sir. That's right. You should just gotta go. You're gonna say something? What do you want to say? Oh, okay. Okay. I can't stop it. If you just don't also.
We gotta move on to the meeting.
So let's just bounce it around. I mean, I've heard board members not being happy with the cost of the conventional construction. Are we ready as a board to just jump into the conventional construction, be it as is may?
Thank you.
Cindy, can you remind me again was it?
It's 20.
20 million?
I'm sorry?
What was the number on the conventional? Do you remember the estimate?
20 million.
About 20 million. If we just did that and nothing else alone, right? At a referendum.
We'd be much less than that.
Well, then before you said.
Well, you should have said that. That's what you should have said.
I'm not going to throw a number out that doesn't make any sense.
You know what?
I don't know
Okay.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Much less is the difference. Okay. So we,
Just answered my question.
That's our question. It's less than 20 million.
Seriously?
Take care.
okay.
They're talking about 4 million.
Okay.
No. To throw that number out.
That's another project.
That's the
So well, if we go ahead with what we've heard already, we're looking at about $20 million for the referendum. I just heard something, and I don't know. We all should go home now. I think it's time to go home.
Wait a minute, because
Can I
just
clarify?
I begged him to tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe if we would have said, well, ours is going to cost 20 million, then he would have been able to say less.
Let me just clarify, because what we did is we met him at Abbott. We gave him access to all the plans that Ted had drawn up, and I was very clear. It was a freezing cold day. I had my hat on. We walked all around Abbott, and I said, look, I need you to come in with a detailed presentation for the Board of Education. They have one for conventional. We had information on modular. I need you to come in. Here's what we have. He didn't. I mean, talk about A game, B game, C game. That's not even double Z game. That was awful.
Well, they sent the worst person. I'm sorry.
I mean, how do you not come in and say briefly, here's what it could approximately cost? And then he walks out and says, I could do it less.
I haven't even been in contact with them except they didn't ask me any questions to confirm the meeting date and location.
Oh, well, we have to go to bid anyway. We're just looking.
Well, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it, they're not going to give you the detail because, look, it's going to have to go to bid because it's going to be well over the threshold. But still, I mean, look, the stuff that they had was the stuff that we went on, that we discussed all those months ago at the board meeting we talked about.
I got to be honest with you, I find it hard to believe that they knew we needed 28 rooms, approximately 1,000 square feet. They knew they needed bathrooms. They could have come up with at least a, I'm going to put you somewhere.
Well, he just did as soon as he knew what we were already
somewhere
going
in
to
the
pay.
ballpark.
I know.
And he couldn't, nor would he do that. So I have no idea. I do have an idea that it's not the right company. Because, it's just not the right company. But it's not to say that modular isn't the way to go, but it was a colossal waste of time.
So, begs the question.
It begs the question, where do we go?
That's right.
Well,
Go balls to the walls with a...
What I don't understand is, I don't understand how he could walk out with the parting shot of I can do it less, but then he's going to sit there and say it's going to cost the same. And I liked how he straddled the line. It may be less, but it may not be more. I'm not quite sure which way it was going in the end. It seemed as if, you know.
Who is this guy? Is he the owner of the company? Is
No.
he a salesman?
No, yeah. It's just he was the PM, wasn't he?
He may not, right. Well, but the point is that he may not have the background to give an estimate based on what information he has.
That's what
Should
it
they
is.
have sent somebody out that
Yes.
could? Absolutely. But the point is, we're barking up the wrong tree with him.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
as
I mean,
the company itself,
he just
they may
didn't
be
have the
very
answers.
reputable and given a chance to meet with the architect and maybe give them a formal list of what we're looking for. I still think you have to compare. You have to compare conventional with an option at this point.
Well, I mean, Cindy, you could also you could bid them both together, could you not?
They're two different,
You could bid.
Two different types of construction. You'd have to, and you couldn't be an alternate because these people can't do this. It would be two different companies. You'd have to have two different sets of drawings, two different sets of plans, et cetera, and stuff. It's two different things.
It's two different referendums.
Okay.
Well, no, it's two different
Two
projects.
different RFPs.
Referendum is a referendum.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to go out for bid, okay? You could go out for go out for a referendum. You could go out for a referendum in September. Between now and September, have whatever discussions, whatever you want to look at. You want a ballpark that it's going to cost you $20 million. Okay, that's what you do your referendum for. In the meantime, leading up to that, you get your architect to get these plans underway and stuff, get all these things in place so that when the referendum, if it passes, then you're ahead of the game, and then you use your referendum dollars to reimburse the general fund for the cost that it's paid the architect to do all the work and stuff. But you're going to have to pay an architect to do either or.
Right, but right now, we're asking for 20 million. We don't know. I don't think I really know right now. The modular is 20 million or 18 or 16.
Correct.
You said it could be less, could be half price.
He just didn't even know.
He just threw number, you know. I don't think
I
he
have no
knows.
idea.
But the things, right? Just based on my experience, he had the drawing. He had the construction drawing here. Based the whole calculation right away.
Absolutely.
My question is, what is our requirement? You know, for basic. What is our specification? Then they can make a comparison based on our specification. What is the convention cost? We go to convention company, building the base.
20 million.
Then we go to modular homes, in the modular house, and then see what is the convention
Right,
cost.
so
Time,
right now, for our specification, we know it's about 20 million.
That's all in, I think, with the architect fees
They
and
have
stuff.
About. So our architect, or no architect, or no engineer out there knows this per square foot of modular building, what it costs. I mean, it's not out there. Is that what we're saying? We have to have...
In
I don't know.
conventional, they said 275 a square foot is what it came down to.
Ted, what the...
For
The conventional building.
Conventional.
Ted gave us the number.
$275 a square foot.
No, I
So the
remember-
conventional.
No, I thought
28 classrooms.
John's 1,000% on the money because I think you asked the question right away and said I can build a mansion for that.
Yeah.
Depends-
Oh, absolutely.
Depends on your specification. That's why I ask you, what is our requirement? Just basically square footage based on what you build in.
Okay, and I asked the same question. It's a great question. I was told 1,000 square foot per classroom.
Yep.
The
Okay.
things the guy has a construction drawing. Based on construction drawing, they will calculate right away. I don't even.
He's not a very good salesman.
Joanne, you are right on the money. He had everything square footage wise that he could have given a price if he so desired. I think that he did not so desire.
Yeah.
He didn't want to tip his hand. He didn't want to put the work in because it would have to go to bid anyway. He wanted to come here and give you a bare bones presentation.
Well, bare bones got him walk out the door.
Well, gang, I think the part that also too, tell me anywhere that's done this. No, nowhere has done this. It comes back to that. Where it happened, Monroe. Monroe was not this. I called Monroe. Monroe, they went away, and the BA and the superintendent danced a happy dance all the way down the road because he said they were such pieces of junk. Now, what we're doing is a little different here, but nowhere does this. I come back to that. Now, if you want us,
He gave you examples of where they did it. You talking about nowhere in Jersey?
where? What did he say?
He did. He said Linden, Bridgetown, Princeton. I mean, we
Bridgeton.
Could,
So
Bridgeton,
I don't
look
think
into those schools.
I-
But
no-
there is schools that have done it.
none of those that he gave you, even on first glance, are what you're asking for to the scope of this. They weren't. They absolutely weren't.
No,
I
just
kicked,
the Eastern
I
was
kicked
the
the
double
tires on that one long ago. Absolutely not. Now, and if you want to have somebody else, I mean, we can certainly research other people to come in and then.
I gave Dr. Hibbs one that I saw in Atlantic City at the League of Municipalities. So if you want to research that one, but that was more commercial than school.
Cindy's gone. When do you remember when we have to have so it's 60 days before September is when we have to go.
It's 60 plus, I think.
60 plus.
Yeah.
You know, I hear you, Bonnie, and I hear going out, let's just go out for referendum on a $20 million hit, but you're going out kind of willy-nilly because we really don't have,
Nothing to compare it to.
you know, have we done all our homework? And I feel like this time would have been great if they had come up with an intelligent number, an intelligent,
But you got to research the modulars on a large scale, because you're only going to get one point of view. So, like, I asked him, you know, I love when they do presentations. Hotels. Well, what hotels? I don't know. Well, what hotels?
Well, maybe another company would know the hotels. He was
You
just
know,
a bad presenter, Bonnie.
You know, what hotels? Well, what schools? Well, you know, my schools. You know, schools. You know, he puts one in here, Easton. He puts Easton in here. That looks nothing like what we want to do. That looks like a jail cell. Hey, John. He does Easton. And, you know, and you look at it, it looks like a friggin' jail. You know, I don't want my kids in that type of a building. It doesn't look anything like Abbott. Well, can you make it look like Abbott? I don't know. Yeah, we can make it look like Abbott. But meanwhile, he's doing a presentation that looks nothing like the things that we want it to look like.
Go from here.
So here's we go from here.
Yeah, but
September, we have to have it
agree,
in
he's a bad
by.
presenter.
Do we have enough time, do you feel, just to shake the trees and see if somebody else would like to come in and make a more informative presentation on modular? Do you think we have that, Cindy?
I could search and see.
Maybe shake the trees and let us know at the next this quicker meeting. We don't want to miss September. We all agree on that. If we're going to do kindergarten and that's our only $20 million option, we're going to have to, as a board, discuss if we want to do that. But we have till September now because we didn't do it in March.
How much time do we have to get somebody in here to actually talk about what it could actually? That's what we want, right? We want an actual. Hey, here's what's going to cost you.
Yes.
Give me a row. I don't need the seat type thing.
Nuts to bolts.
Yeah.
is what I want.
Well, let's find out about things
The
like,
construction progress, I just went back in my files. The actual construction cost estimate was 16.2, and then your other ancillary costs brought it up to the 20 million. So it was 16.2, and then 4 million for the architect contingencies, et cetera, and stuff. So you're looking at $20 million.
Right.
A lot of money.
And,
So we really
and-
need to-
and for Joanne and Craig, I will be happy to show you when you drill back down, because they can drill back down, right, into the board scans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Go backwards.
Oh, there.
All this is on the board scans.
Mhm.
So
They're all
I,
there.
I will have Teresa email both of you where you can specifically find all this.
Their stuff is there, you just have to look for it.
Well, they're going to have to dig back through old meetings, because it'll be uploaded into an older meeting when you weren't on. But that'll give you the prices for all the things that we talked about.
left-hand side, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on the left-hand side. I don't think it's in the old meetings. I think it's on the left-hand side.
No,
So-
It's on the left.
So the public understands as well, when me as a business, I can go out and call 10 different contractors and say, I would like to add on to my warehouse, and I'd like to add on to my offices, and give me a price. And I go, eeny, meeny, miny, this guy's this guy's good, and he's cheaper than the other two guys, and he seems to have a good reputation, I pick him. We can't do that. We have to go to bid. So once we decide,
You gotta take the lowest
once we
bidder.
decide what lowest responsible bidder.
Lowest responsible, yeah, that word's really important.
Lowest responsible builder.
So, where we're at, the board wants full-day kindergarten. I don't know if every board member here, I can't speak for all the board members, they're willing to go for a $20 million referendum. We haven't had that final discussion yet. But I think we have enough time to shake the trees and see if we can get somebody else, give us some modular
Yeah.
information, and then make
Well,
an
yeah.
informed decision.
We'll beat the bushes and trying to get somebody else in here to give you a number. 'Cause that's what we want. We want a number to compare apples to apples, right, everybody?
Bonnie?
Before we close this out, there's a couple of things that in the presentation that the next guy gives that I would like to have answered. Things like, because I was doing some research, this guy wasn't giving it. They use things that are, the I-beams. They're TJI beams, they're called. They're very often made with VOCs, which are made with formaldehyde, which we don't really want in our schools. It's in the glue that puts them together because it's
For the modular?
in modular homes.
Oh, okay.
Because they're I-beams. They look like eyes, and that strand board in between. So, and it's put together with glue, and the glue has formaldehyde in it, and we really don't want that in our schools. And more often than not, that's how it's put together. So we don't want that. So we have to find out about that. The joists, the supporting floors and ceilings are all combustible, and when we build houses and in the schools, they're slab on slab or slab on grade. They're not combustible and they're not flammable, but in these, they generally are very combustible. So we have to find out about that and how they deal with that. The American Wood Council says that the floor joists spanning 10 feet, utilizing the high spec in code and the L30, it's called L/360 standard. The floor will deflect or bounce a little less than a ½ inch. Well, when they have live load, which is when you walk on it, it's 40 pounds per square foot. That's the same as a bedroom, but that's small. So when you have these big spans, how do they deal with that? Because then it's a very large, you understand, it's much more. So how do they deal with that? Because you're dealing with much larger areas of 1,000 square foot room.
Of bouncing.
And then you have like dead, and then you're putting furniture in it and stuff. How are they dealing with it? There's a lot of these types of questions.
Wouldn't that be caught, though, all in the code review and the...
They have to meet specifications.
No, because it's different, because they have different specs for these types of buildings, but we don't necessarily want that in these buildings, because that's what made Monroe a horror. Because then it's up to us then necessarily to keep the upkeep of these things.
Maintenance of
Yeah.
And the maintenance, and we don't necessarily want to deal with these things.
They said just basically Monroe, just to fill you in, that they just fell apart. I mean, mold, and it's just awful.
Michael?
Was with the amount of kids that we have going through these buildings.
But at the end of the day, isn't that what we're paying an architect a lot of money to make the decisions as to how it's built, the quality of it, and what's safe and not safe? All right, well, we're going to spend a lot of money for our architect to do nothing.
Exactly, because you can put the specification that you don't want that.
Yeah, correct.
When you got the estimate for the 16 million plus the fees, whatever, so I mean, originally I said it's going to give us a number plus or minus 20%. My question though is, was there any kind of a listing of what that estimate was based on?
Sure.
Was there a sheet?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Can we use that sheet, whether it's a modular construction or it's a conventional construction?
It doesn't go into
so that we're
detail
really
of the type
comparing
of wood
apples and apples?
or the flooring joist.
Well, it's not to that detail.
No.
I don't mean, I'm not an architect, I'm not a builder, I'm not a construction guy, and I think to John's point, that's what we're going to be relying on the architect for. I don't know about bounce rates. I mean, my kids bounced on a bed. What does that mean? I don't know. The point I'm trying to make here is for the actual construction project, whatever they came up with to base it a $20 million number, do we have those, that checklist, so to speak, so that we can hand it to other
general
builders and say,
Yeah.
you spec it, now you tell us
So-
based on this, what is it going to cost?
So for instance, I'm looking at it right now. This is it's a $20 million, $270,000. So for instance, it was the additions were 53,405 square feet at $260 per square foot for $13,885,000. To me, he should have been able to come in and discuss that relatively intelligently to say, look, I don't know what you have or what you don't have, but here's a general look at what our square foot price is. We know you have this amount of space, because he had that amount of space. He had the actual plans that Ted drew up.
That's what John tried getting him to do.
He knew we needed 28 rooms because that was in his diagram.
He knew
So
it.
we knew that.
We knew
and he
that-
knew it was approximately 1,000 square feet. He knew
Absolutely.
that. So based off of that information, he should have had.
He should
I think we can conclude he was
I
a
just
horrible
think it's-
presenter.
yeah, right.
He did
We all
not
know that
present
already.
the information.
But
We know
back
it.
to Craig for 1 sec. Renovations of commons, 280,000. Site work, stormwater,
So basically,
920,000.
it's printing out that sheet without the numbers and without the prices, and letting 2 or 3 or however many other people we want to get an estimate from and say, come up
There's
with
no
your
reason
numbers.
then why they couldn't have those general categories.
And with the understanding, some stuff on that sheet is not applicable to
Sure.
To a prefab company,
which may mean
Correct.
it brings the price down.
Yeah, question
yeah,
here.
sure.
Right? Cindy just mentioned that we do have our township has architecture, right? Architect had to make architecture drawing for this building, do we?
Us,
You mean
our
our
district?
Yeah, district, we
Yes.
do, right?
Yeah.
Then you have a blueprint. We have all the layout inside and the outside layout, right? Based on the layout, you have detailed instruction. What's the beam like? What's the drawing like? What's the capacity? We have all the detailed information in the blueprint.
Your point is
No,
well
he didn't
taken.
draw them yet.
He didn't draw them
He
yet,
didn't draw them.
but our architect gave us a price based on what
Preliminary.
he knows, preliminary, based on what he knows our requirements are, the type of beam, no whatever glue and not bouncy. He
Right.
gave us a price based on what he knows we need. He could tell another company the same thing. This is what we need to do that in modular. That's all we're all saying.
Right, because
Make
the-
apples for apples, give us a price.
Do we give the information to them?
Yeah,
Again,
not-
a company coming in can make presentations. It's when the bids come in is what you live with.
right.
So just so Craig understands that.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay. You shake the trees, you'll get back to us. And meanwhile, we know we're on track to September, nothing, unless at some point the board has to have that hard discussion. If nothing else shakes out of the trees, are we gonna go for $20 million referendum? That's the bottom line. Okay? Alrighty.
But we need
Yes.
to get this one, we need more than 60 days, do we?
You're going to have it because you're looking at a September referendum, which means you're going to have into the spring. By May, you should have pretty well
Can
hopefully
you,
where
can
you
you back
can
it
be.
up for me? So it would have to be submitted, just a general sketch. So if
July.
everything has to be wrapped and in by July.
Which means that we need July, let's say 4 months, April, we're going to have to tell Ted to get this, or give him one or both options, to go in and have the drawings done to the state for approval, because it'll take the 90 days.
April.
So he needs to have them done by April.
Yeah, because he's going to have to submit it.
Okay, so let's just sketch this. Today's what, January 13th? We don't even have any real leads aside from the one that Bond gave me to get somebody in, to get numbers. You blink an eye, it's gonna be February. February to April is 2 months, assuming
Assuming we don't, nothing shakes out of the trees.
Yep.
We have to have that serious discussion.
Okay.
Within that timeframe.
Okay.
If the board agrees to go forward for a $20 million referendum, that's
got it.
That's the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you come up with an epiphany and say, oh, I could do this.
I played Powerball today. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Promise, if I win, I'll split it.
All right.
We figured it out, you'd only get about 3 million.
I take back the split. Take it off the cat. I'm kidding.
All right. That'll bring us to our final public session on any item. Any member of the public wish to address the board on any item? Seeing none, I'll read the executive session resolution. Be resolved in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlborough Township Board of Education shall conduct a close executive session pursuant to the personnel and legal exceptions prescribed by NJSA 10:4-12, purpose discussing personnel matters. It's anticipated the length of time executive session will be 15 minutes, and action will not be taken in public at the executive session. Be further.
There's nothing on personnel.
There's nothing? Oh, there's no, I'm sorry.
No.
I will cross that off. There is no executive session tonight.
Wahoo!
Personnel on.
What?
Didn't have a discussion.
What?
Oh, I gotta sit down.
PTA, we don't discuss that at different
You what?
The what?
The
That's gotta be public.
All right.
What are we doing? And then just this next week.
You're leading it.
Okay.
What?
What?
Am I okay? No executive session?
Cindy had a conversation that I didn't have an opportunity to.
So there is personal matter.
Jump in. Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
There can be, but I just
Okay.
want you to know that I'm not leading the discussion.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
anticipated the time, yes, will be 15 minutes, and like to not be taken as public executive session. Be sure resolved the minutes of executive session will be released on the confidentiality with NJSA 4-12 no longer applies. Seconded by Dara, all in favor?
Aye.
By against, wait, motion to adjourn executive session by me, seconded by John? All in favor? Anybody against? No? We adjourn for executive session.